Hello, my name's Kurt and this is Simple Shop Creations. And in this video series, I'm going to go through the steps on how I produce multiple copies of this style of cutting board. But first, let me tell you that this introduction is going to be used for all the parts of the process that I upload so you guys can view. So if you want to skip this introduction, it's just you've seen it once before, just go down in the description below and there'll be chapters of certain portions of the video. And just click on one of the timelines and you can get right to the video. If you like to purchase this template, which I use to create the cutting boards, you can just send an email to simpleshopcreations@gmail.com and we will work out the arrangements from there. There will be a cost associated, so just go down in the description and you can get my email address down there. In addition, there will be above me what part of the video this is and what process or what step we are in the process of batching these small cutting boards out. So with that, let's go ahead and continue on with the video series on how to mass produce these cutting boards. Welcome to part 3 of batching out small cutting boards. And in this part of the video series, we're going to go through the joinery and glue up of the small cutting boards. Now here, I'm using a Milescraft dowel jig. I'm using 1/4-inch dowels in the main body of the board. I'll be drilling 4 holes in the main body, the hard maple, and then 2 holes in each of the walnut end caps. So there are a couple ways you can attach the walnut end caps to the main body of the cutting board. One is using dowels, as you see there in front of you. Also, you could use biscuits, domino. You also can glue the 2 walnut pieces to the main body, but depending how thin the boards come, you might get some warping. So I always like to err on the side of caution and use some form of joinery. In this case, I'm using simple dowels. Now here, I'm checking to make sure that my drill stop did not move up, further up the drill. So I'm just using a digital caliper and just measuring it. So I got the measurement by using that digital caliper. First, I measured the thickness of the Milescraft jig. Then I measured the total length of the 1/4-inch dowel and then divided by that 2. And then I also measured the thickness of the drill stop. And then I added all those together. It gave me a certain size. I use metric system, much easier to deal with than using imperial when trying to figure out that distance. So, and then I set up my drill stop, and you can see there a little piece of blue tape above the drill stop that gives me a general idea of where I should put the drill stop in future uses of that particular drill bit. Now the drill bit is a 1/4-inch and it's a brad point 1/4-inch drill bit. It's been quite well, it's been used a lot and doesn't seem to be dulling too much, so it's a good little drill bit. The Milescraft jig itself, not too happy with it, so I won't be using it the way you see a lot of other people use it in other videos. As you can see, I'm turning it back and forth from different sides, so you'll never get your boards lined up. So what I'm going to use, once I drill all these 112 holes, I will be using pins that will be put into the main body of the cutting board, and then I just tap them into the walnut ends and then drill that way, and you're pretty much rest assured about a 99% lining up everything. So you can see here now I'm doing the pins and I'm going to tap them in there. You'll figure out here that I'm having somewhat of a senior moment. There's a little more faster way to do it, which you'll see in a few minutes. Now you have to keep track of the walnut end caps to the main body of the cutting board. So I use a pencil, as you saw there, and I just number them, and that's it. And then I stack them up and move on to the next one. As you can see right there, I was just marking the boards with that pencil. Now again, as I stated before, there's definitely a little bit quicker way to do it, and you should see it coming up shortly. Now there, you see how I changed how I was tapping the pins in. Now these pins are pretty tight. That's why I'm using those pliers to pull out those pins. You know, I can't get my fingernail underneath them, so I just go ahead and use the pliers and just rip them right out of the socket, and just continue on and continue on and continue on and continue on. Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing this work on, it's a Rockler routing table that I picked up a while back. It's got an Incremaster 2 lift. It's the 8 1/4 inch wide, not the 9 1/4 inch, but it's the same width, 11 3/4 or something like that. It holds a Porter cable 7518 router that's right below that, and a little piece of tape there is just to prevent some sawdust from dropping down or clippings dropping down into the router itself. Now here you can see how I'm using the jig now. Since I used the pins, I just line up the brad point of the drill, and I use the Miles dowel jig just to keep my drill nice and straight, and then we go ahead and we drill, and then we keep on drilling, and we drill some more. I believe there's 56 holes on the walnuts, and then 56 holes were done on the maple body. So enjoy. Now coming up, you'll see I take 3 cutting boards and I'm going to test fit the walnut end caps to make sure everything appears to be lining up good before I go to the glue up. So that's what I'm doing right there on the router table. Okay, in a second here we'll be going to the glue up portion of the video, and here you can see that I'm using Type Bond 3. It's waterproof, sticking in my dowels. Notice I'm not spreading with my finger because being so thin, 3/4 of an inch or a little bit over 3/4 inch right now, it'll just evenly spread out and ooze out on the sides and all that stuff. So really no need to spread it. Just put a good amount of glue, not too much, but enough that it will squeeze out. I'll give you a nice B going across. Now there I have, those are 2-foot Rockler clamps. They only can fit in one, and you see I pushed the Type on off the table. Those blue ones, the blue Rockler ones, can only hold 1 cutting board because they're over 12 inches because we didn't route them down to the proper size using the template that you've seen in the introduction of the videos so far. Now the other 2 red ones there, you have pipe clamps there The first two closest to the rockler clamps are 1/2 inch and they're 30 inches long. And then the two furthest away from the rockler are 3/4 inch pipe clamps, and again, they're approximately 30 inches long too. So they can hold 2 each. So I'm gonna be gluing up 6 here, and then I'll let those dry and I'll go ahead and reuse those clamps again. Now notice I just put tape where we need, or where the glue is going to meet up against the metal pipe. So I just just ripped the tape down and put it where I needed it, and then run across the whole pipe clamp with blue tape, because stuff is starting to get a little expensive to constantly replace. Even though if you sell these, the cost of everything else is going up, but yet your cost of selling doesn't really go up as much as the costs of all the products that you need to create the cutting board. Now there, you notice I whipped out a diagonal cutter. What happened was when I tapped on that walnut end cap, it stuck up a little bit. So I don't know what happened to that hole that I drilled. It might have been too small. Maybe some sawdust is in there. I don't know. So I took the dikes, the cutter dikes, and it just clipped off the top, and boom, put it back on, and now it works fine. We're getting close to the end of the video here. So in part 4, we'll be using the bandsaw and the router to get the cutting boards to their final dimension of 12 inches by 8 inches. So with that, have yourself a wonderful and healthy day. We'll see you in part 4.